Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video because I have one of my former clients and now friends, Lydia, with me today.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing me into your channel. This is a privilege and an honor. I see all her videos, most of her videos I see, and she is wonderful as always.
Aw, you're so sweet. I'm so excited.
Here.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm very excited for today's video. It's not going to be like any others I've done before. So essentially, her and I are just going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask her a couple of questions because her and her family moved here from New York about 2 years ago now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So I talk to a lot of potential out-of-state buyers and get a lot of the same types of questions. And I thought, what better way to answer those questions than to talk to someone who's done it themselves. Yes. All right, so without further ado, we'll get into today's video. Okay, so I first want to start off and just give a little bit of background. So will you talk a little bit about how long you and your husband and your family have lived in New York for?
So my husband and I have lived in New York almost our whole life. My husband since he was born, and he was born in Brooklyn. And then myself, I came to New York when I was 4 years old. So pretty long time.
So
you're
20 a New Yorker.
Yes, we're true New Yorkers with the accent and everything, and the favorite pizza.
Oh yes, that is the best.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure it's a disappointment here now.
No, and not at all. I've seen several. I'll talk about it in the interview. Several pizza shops that you can go to here in St. John's.
Awesome.
And that tastes not just like New York, but it tastes similar to it.
Awesome. And so what initially sparked your interest in moving to Florida?
So mainly it was because of the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit in New York, we realized that being in an apartment, and not a small apartment, but just being in an apartment and having two kids, it felt like a little bit overwhelming because they were not able to be outside. They were not able to do things that people with houses would have been able to do or have a backyard. So that kind of like sparked a little bit in us to kind of want to move to a home.
Definitely. And then had you considered any other states to move to, or did you have your eyes set on Florida?
So we did look upstate. That was one of our things because we wanted to stay close to home. We do have a lot of family in New York. Didn't work out upstate, and then also New Jersey was part of it. Also didn't work out as well. And involved in the process, we did include God in it. So we wanted to make sure that we were praying and fasting about it. But Florida was not our number one option.
It's good to consider a lot of options, especially if you are going to move away from your family and to a place where you've never been before, then there's lots of places to consider. And so whenever you started considering Florida, were there other cities within Florida that you considered?
We were thinking Orlando. One of the things that my husband will ask the realtors prior to Ella was, is there any hurricanes that pass around that area? And he was always asking all the realtors, and they kind of had mentioned like Orlando, yes, is one of the cities that do have like big hurricane. That was one of the places we considered besides Augustine or St. John.
So you mentioned hurricanes, and I know that that's a big concern for especially a lot of people from out of state moving to Florida, because that's one of our main catastrophic events here in the state. So were there any other expectations or assumptions that you had about living in Florida? So bad hurricanes being one of them. Were there any others that you had prior to moving here?
Honestly, the weather, in terms of just being hot all year long, we didn't want that because my husband is one of the person that he does not love hot weathers at all. And we're like, but we're moving to Florida. So, once Ella told us, you do definitely get 4 seasons, and we appreciate her for saying that. And we have experienced 4 seasons. Obviously, we don't get snow, but we do. But we do get chilly weathers where you're able to wear your sweater, your scarves. Jacob, at one time, our oldest son, he was in football, and we had to wear like several sweaters because it was in February and it was really cold. So
is it surprising how cold it can get here?
Yes, it's very surprising.
Yeah, because I'm sure as New York, Florida's Florida cold weather is no big deal,
Yes.
but I think it's cold. Do you think it's cold?
Now I think it's very cold, and I regret that I got rid of all my coats because I definitely need them.
So that's a good tip. If anyone's moving
Yes.
from out of state, don't get rid of all your cold weather
No,
clothes.
do not. Bring them with you.
Alrighty, so once you decided that you wanted to move to St. Augustine, and we got connected, and I know that you and your husband had chosen to purchase a new construction home.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that, how it was picking a home from afar and going through the building process from afar as well.
Absolutely. So definitely number one was it was scary. Just because it was our first home. We didn't know anything about purchasing a home at all. I give all the props to my husband. I have to say it because he was really involved in the whole process of purchasing a home, making sure that everything was just smooth. But it was very scary, overwhelming at times because I believe that at that time builders were backed up with some of the items to build the home. But at the same time, like I mentioned in the other part, we definitely left it all to God and make sure that we were at peace with the purchasing of the home. And later on, as time went by, it was more easier, more smoother. And one of the things that we appreciate from Ella was that constantly she was sending us videos of the process of the home, whether it was just putting up the framer of the house or the ceiling or the wires. She was always visiting the site of the construction and sending us videos. So she did make the process easier because we got to see, how it was going along.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it can be definitely a really scary
Yes.
process. And I know myself and other realtors out there obviously do everything we can to help bridge that gap because it is concerning. And what do you think your biggest concern or fear was during the construction process?
One of the biggest fear was not being able to finish on time, especially when you're moving from a different state. You need to rent a truck. You need to also tell the apartment office that you're moving from, hey, I have this amount of time and I'm moving out. Also, one of the things that I also want to say is I definitely recommend that if you're going to have a home built in a different state and you're coming from a different state, to go visit the area as well. And also when you're designing your home, that you go to the place that they're designing your home and see it in person. That's one of the things I also recommend.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's great
Yes,
advice for
yes.
sure. And you guys did come visit while it was being built in Florida, right?
Yes, we did visit in May when it was being built. We walked in, everything. We saw how it was coming along, and it was felt good. We also visited the area, and we felt really good about it.
Wonderful. Alrighty, now that you have lived here for 2 years now, how do those initial expectations and assumptions about Florida live up now that you are officially a Floridian? Were they better or worse than you thought?
I honestly, we love it here. It's very peaceful, very just it's smooth. It just goes along. It gives us a sense of peace to be able to walk outside, or our children walk outside and play outside, not having to look, side to side. What's the danger or what's coming up next? Besides, like the critters that we have. But just the sense of being at peace. Sunsets are beautiful. The beaches are all amazing. We've visited 4 or 5 beaches. The boys have been able to find shark teeth in one of them. It's I believe it's Mickler.
Yeah.
Mickler?
Is that one of their favorite beaches?
Yes, one of their favorite beaches because they get to see shark teeth.
Yeah.
Isaiah, he's like looking for them everywhere. It's just been a great feeling to be able to be in a place where you're at peace.
That's wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Okay, and so you mentioned critters previously. So one of the biggest questions I get asked from out-of-state buyers is, are there snakes and alligators everywhere? What do you think now that you've lived here for 2 years?
Honestly, when I first thought of the thought of Florida, I never in a million years thought about snakes. I don't know why. Was I gullible? I'm not sure, but I didn't think of snakes. Ella did mention it's been a while, I haven't seen one. But moving here to Florida, I have to say I've seen several. whether I am driving in my car down the road, I see roadkill, I see them, either slithering around. I saw a very small one in front of my house. It's a garden snake, which those are good. Those are the ones that kill the rodents and kill all the other critters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Alligators, I cannot say I have seen one up close, but I've seen two dead on the side of the road.
Okay.
My mom, when she came from New York, she wanted to see alligators, but she didn't get to see one. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about, that you see this. I don't see none. So you might see them, you might not. But again, it's like anything else. You get used to it, and you just go along with it. They won't bug you if you don't bug them.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yes.
I've lived in Florida my whole life, and I don't see snakes or alligators too often, and I grew up golfing, so the main place I would see them would be on the golf courses. But I was just telling Lydia that I saw a snake on my front porch yesterday, and that was my first time having one at my house, like 2 years now. So that was a little bit of a scare. So you heard it yourself. You will see them. I wouldn't say they're everywhere, but it should be something that you should have in the back of your mind. Okay, so another common question that I get asked is, how bad are the hurricanes, and does this particular area of Florida get hit by hurricanes directly a lot? So I would like to ask you that, after 2 hurricane seasons, how do you think that has been so far?
I gotta say, it was more scary the thought of a hurricane come our way, but once we were able to experience it and witness it, it wasn't as bad as we thought. And it's a funny story because the last hurricane that happened last year, I want to say, my husband went and got like bags of sand that they were giving away free, and we had the bags of sand in front of our garage. Like 2 or 3 days passed by of just rain, 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 rain. We never got flood. It was not even an inch of like water in our house. It was just rain, like just pure rain. And then my husband was like, I knew I should have listened to my gut and not gotten the sandbags, because then he had to put the sandbags
Back, yep.
But again, it was not as expected. Especially because we moved into an area where it's no flood zone. And that's one of the things, again, you can look into when you're moving here to Florida. Look for a place that is a no flood zone.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of St. Johns County is in this no flood zone that Lydia is mentioning. Of course, there are some parts of it that are in it. So just make sure whoever you're working with definitely checks that out for you. But yeah, as a Floridian myself, I can say that sometimes even our summer thunderstorms can be scarier than some of the more minor hurricanes.
Absolutely. That's another thing too. Like the lights do flicker in your home, but we do have a community that we have a Facebook, and we do inform each other of like, just, hey, turn off your lights, or hey, do you guys have batteries? Just just like any other place that you will prepare for anything. Just making sure that you have that in your home, but also being able to be in a community that gives you or informs you of like what you should do.
Yeah.
Or in your real term, which Ella, again, she did do that. She did mention to us that it was in a no flood zone.
Yep. Alrighty, so wrapping things up, I generally speaking just want to ask you, how do you like living here? Are there any things that you specifically don't like about this area? Are there any things that you specifically do like?
Yeah, so definitely we love living here. We love everything about St. John's, and not just saying it because we want you to come live here, but overall it's just a really, really good place to live, especially if you have a family and you have kids, you have children, you want a good school system, you want them to be able to go outside and play, take them to different places. I know that we have like a little tradition where we go to Rita's, and we have ice cream there, and it's almost like seeing the sunset while we're having ice cream. It's very beautiful. We also found out a place, it's called Serafina's. It's a pizza shop. Like I mentioned before, I'm from New York, so we love our pizza. And it's one of the top places that we said that the pizza tastes just as good as New York pizza. But we love it here. We really do. And one of the reasons also that we moved to St. John was because the school system was one of the top rated schools here in Florida. And so far we love it. But there isn't anything that I can say that I dislike or hate, other than the snakes.
That's fair. I hate them. I hate them.
But again, you don't get close to them, they will get close to you. They're actually more scared of you than what you are of them.
I don't know. I'm pretty scared of them.
If I had any advice to give you, is just come look at it for yourself, see how it is, and speak with Ella. She will recommend you very nice places to go. Overall, we really love St. John's.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on and answering these questions. I know it's not easy to do, so I really appreciate it, and I'm sure the people watching appreciate it too, to just kind of get some insight as to someone who has moved from out of state to Florida and just how you genuinely like it. So if you guys have any questions on this video or on St. John's, Florida, you can feel free to message me. I'll put my contact information on the screen. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.